Yeah, thank you very much. And one of the things that we talk about a lot of times on commentary is about the state of the pitch. Now, in a tournament such as this, one pitch gets used over and over again, and they have different characteristics. Now, today, we're on a fresh pitch here at Trent Bridge, and who better to talk about that than two fellas who combined have got almost 1,000 test match wickets. Now, I'm always worried because put these two together and chaos could ensue. So we will try and make it as informative and educational as we can. Graeme Swann, former England international off-spinner, alongside James Anderson as well. So, gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us. This is a fresh pitch, a pitch that you know very well, Graeme Swann. What do you expect when we say that? What are the characteristics you expect from a fresh surface?
Okay, so fresh pitch basically means that the bowlers are going to have a bad day at Trent Bridge. It means if you're a batsman, you're really going to enjoy it. The ball doesn't seem to seam, it doesn't really bounce too much, it doesn't spin, and the batsman should clean up. Jimmy used to love bowling on days like this because he was such a master. Before he joined Westlife, he was such a master of bowling at this place. I would prefer a wicket a little bit more like this one next to it that's been used before, that goes a bit dusty. It goes very dry because it has 3 or 4 days in the sun, and all the moisture it goes dry and dusty, so my beautiful spinners could grip and turn. When
you look at this fresh pitch, what do you see? Do you have a sort of pre-planned idea of where you're going to bowl, how it's going to bounce, what your tactics might be?
Yeah, so generally, especially during the 100 so far, we've seen a little bit of swing early on, but today I'd say, you see how dry the pitch is, there's cracks in it, not much grass on it, definitely not a lot of moisture in it, and I think that will deter the swing. It won't swing as much as it could do here. Sometimes when there's a layer of grass on it, you might have some rain, there's a bit of moisture in it, you feel like the conditions are more in your favour and it's going to swing more. But today I can't see that, so I'd be looking at pulling my length back a little bit. I wouldn't be bowling as full as I normally would, slightly shorter. Again, you're taking in the sort of boundaries, sizes, maybe trying to pick out a longer side for the batters to hit and bowl towards that.
Well, Cliffy, our cameraman, just to zoom in on the pitch a little bit, because what we see is bare patches. We see some areas which are grassed. How does the ball behave differently, actually, for both of you, for the seam bowler and for the spin bowler?
Well, for a spinner, you want the ball to... There's little areas of brown here, and I'm not supposed to stand on the wicket, sorry, umps, but the little areas of brown there, if the spinner hits that, that's quite dry, and you hope that grips. But the grass next to it tends to, if the ball is going to seam, that grass will grip the seam and move for bowlers like Jimmy. But truth be told, I don't think this is going to do very much at all. It's that dry and the grass is dead. There's no moisture in it at all, so I don't think it will seam.
We see a lot of cracks. Now, do you spot that and think, well, there's a certain technique I might be actually using to try and exploit those cracks? A little bit of uneven bounce, perhaps, or different behaviours?
Potentially, but the cracks are too small for me. They're too tight. I don't think they'll do a lot. There is a little sort of covering of grass as well, so I think it'll, as Swanee said, it's going to be a really good pitch. I think not much movement. A fresh pitch here generally is really good to bat on.
I'll tell you one thing, you can't really see it on TV, but the wind is howling today from that way. And that boundary, as I point, is tiny. It's 54 metres, so hitting with the wind, there is no way in the world I would bowl that end. I would wrestle my captain. If he asked me to, I would refuse and wrestle him on the field.
Well, just explain that for those who might not know.
Right.
So you're an off-spinner, and as a right-handed batter, the ball is coming in towards
and so
the leg
it's easier to hit with the spin. If you're hitting with the spin but into the wind to a big boundary, there's no way he's hitting me, a world-class off-spin bowler, into that wind over that boundary, even Andre Russell. That way, even you, Daggers, could hit me out of the ground. So, and I must say, Daggers could bat. But with Jimmy, he'd probably want to bowl this end to help the away swing with the new ball. And out of the 6-7 bowlers in your team, none of them would want to bowl that end.
Okay, so this is a fresh pitch. It's just walked out of the salon. This one, just behind us, has just got out of bed. It looks really rough, and granted, this has been used on numerous occasions. They're trying to repair it to be used again.
Yeah.
This is, again, very, very dry, very, very dusty. There don't seem to be a huge amount of grass. There's a bit that's poking through. So again, are we now talking that you have a different way of looking at a surface such as this than you would on this fresh pitch?
Well, absolutely, yes. I mean, a used pitch, you're looking at immediately thinking change of pace, slow balls, things like that, to try and get sort of get the ball to stick in the surface and come off at different paces.
Cliffy can come round here. Come to us, Cliffy.
stand on this
You're
one.
allowed to go on this one. You're not allowed to go on the other one, so we can take a little bit of a closer look. Sorry, Jimmy, carry on.
No, so again, and I'm sure Swanee will say the same thing. He'd be thinking immediately, right? My starting line is going to be that little bit more attacking, a little bit wider, try and get the ball to turn through the gate. So, yeah, I guess you just on this pitch here, the fresher pitch, I'm thinking margin for error very small. Here, margin for error is probably a little bit bigger, and you can use your variations.
So, what about as a batter? Fielding.
I'm glad you came to me.
Yeah, well, I was just Test match 81 on this very surface, so I will ask you both. But do the fielding positions slightly change between fresh pitch, which is coming on a bit quicker, than a slower pitch that is a little bit, it's not as easy to actually strike the ball?
Well, on a slower pitch, basically, the bowler should be in command. I mean, I'd love this pitch. I'd take it home and marry it. It's gorgeous. It's about a week old. It'd spin. It'd be impossible to bat. Glorious. So all my fielders would be what we call squarer. So my mid-wicket fielder, if the camera's my mid-wicket, you would move that way about 4 yards, because then the ball's going to go squarer because I'm going to turn it, and you mid-off for mid-on go wider. On a fast pitch, everyone just stands on the boundary and hopes and turns around to the crowd and asks for the ball back.
And similarly for a fast bowler as well. Slightly your deep third, your fine leg on a fresher surface would probably be a little finer, a little squarer. Is that fair to say for a slower pitch?
Yeah, well, a slower pitch, I think you're probably using. You'll see quicker bowlers bringing their fine leg into the circle and maybe using more fielders in front of the wicket out on the boundary for the drags and for the big shots down the ground. So yeah, it's just trying to be smart with that. You're not with less pace in the pitch, you're not going to get hit behind the wicket as much. So you've just got to use your head in that respect.
Gentlemen, thank you so much, and thank you for your time. It's great to see you.
Thank you,
and Jimmy, thanks, and hopefully you've learned a little bit from two of the best out here. It is the Trent Rockets versus the London Spirit in the men's competition. First ball coming up next.